Well, very excited to say that I have the incredible Zac Alsop with me today. Claps, everybody. Claps all around.
Studio audio.
There we go. I know. It's like, it's very clear. It's two people behind the camera. Thank you for coming. The honour is all mine, my friend. Thank you so much. Let's get straight into it. There's a lot, I think, for us to talk about.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, we go back a little bit now, actually. It feels like...
Very far, yeah. In terms of the YouTube
In terms of like, I mean,
Mm.
YouTube's kind of like cat years, right? It's like 4 or 5 years is a lifetime.
Yeah.
So let's, just get straight into it and talk about all things you and what you've done and your insight and everything. So going back right to the beginning, what made you make your first ever video?
I think the first video I put out was the Olympic homecoming parade sneak in, which had all the ingredients to go viral. It was very topical. It was like national news, and like when we'd done it, it was viral in the mainstream press. But I uploaded it 2 days too late, so I just missed that wave completely.
Yeah.
I thought the Olympic thing was gonna get me a first notch of subscribers. I thought that was gonna be it. So then when I think it did like it was 400 subscribers I got off of it, and it must have done like 2,000 views.
I guess that's something, for new creators and people who are coming through, that, ultimately, when people don't know you, they're not going to watch the video for you, but what they will watch is something culturally relevant and intriguing and exciting.
Yeah.
And then once they're in and then they like you and enjoy your content, then that's where you build the following, right?
Exactly, yeah. There needs to be an element of like, people are on your side. You can go viral for whatever reason you want, but like, you need to control that. I
remember you had a phrase for it. You had a really perfect way of explaining it, where basically it was like you doing something that was like edgy and a bit different and daring, but it was always fun, lighthearted and innocent, and no one ever got hurt. I now call it like the Robin Hood effect, because I still like think about that quite a lot. It's like if the target of your video is a corporation or like a company. It's not me sneaking into the Conor McGregor fight, being in his dressing room while he cut his 30th birthday cake. Like if I was then going up to him and being a nuisance to him and his family, first of all, I'll get choked out on the spot. You wouldn't want to do that to McGregor, would you?
Yeah, and the beauty of all the early day stuff was that like nobody knew I was there. I went home, I edited the video, that must have been a week in between, and then they knew. People always ask about the legality side of things and how like we perhaps got away with it or like haven't had a huge comeuppance. Like, and I think it's just because of that simple thinking. Yeah. Like everyone on a human level, if a marketing team has seen that or a security team has seen it, they would know that I'm not trying to like expose flaws and like make them look stupid. I'm just a kid trying to like just be in a room that I shouldn't be.
Was there ever a thing that you did where you were like, actually, that was too far?
The first sneaking me and Jay ever did together was for one of our favourite rappers, Cass is Dead. And it was a small little gig in Bristol. So again, maybe the target was off, but I justify that because I was a broke student. Yeah. So I had no money.
For you, that's like Wembley Arena.
Yeah, exactly. So we did that. Maybe not the best target. It was like a up-and-coming promoter who I actually weirdly know now. And he was just trying to make his own event and do his own thing. And then we got on stage, and then we were just, we got quite drunk. And then we were like sort of getting bottles of vodka from the bar and like pretending that we were with the rap group. Yeah. So they didn't know who we were. And then we were telling them we were the lighting and sound guys. And like it went a little bit too far. But that was like the first of the first. I think I uploaded that on Snapchat. And everyone was like, oh, you're mad. And that was the first sneaking I ever did. So, I learned since then.
How did you then obviously start the channel with Jay? I remember Zac Alsop as a channel. That was when we met, when you were just yourself, and that grew to a pretty amazing level. Like it was at that sort of, it was under 100K, I think. You were maybe 60K?
I think I got to like 150K, 160K. And it started to become full time around 120K. And then, I decided to start again.
Yeah.
But it was quite an easy decision. I think I was like, when I look at who I was back then, I was just like pure, unadulterated, creative kid with like no discipline and no like structure to my life. And I was doing freelance video stuff alongside it, just trying to balance it out. And I just wasn't making enough videos. Like you see, a lot of people say, unless you've uploaded 100 videos, like, don't expect anything. Yeah. And I had only uploaded like 20 to the platform, and I was nearly full time with it. So it was a little bit skewed from the jump, but that meant that I had no consistency. The audience community wasn't really there. And I think I was just struggling to like, I was stuck in the sort of rut of sneaking in, and people wanted bigger, better, like crazier each time. And if you're in that, it's a dangerous place to be. So I was sort of having those thoughts and questions. I remember feeling at the time like I was like, I was so protective over this like channel. It was like my baby, and he'd already bailed from it out of the first video.
I think we spoke just as you were having that inflection point in that moment. Do you remember? And I know it was like, it was, I think, as you say, it was an easy, rational, well, this actually could be brilliant together and you're really good friends. But also you're giving up that, like, a lot of reach and followers and and that's a risk, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was just,
I think from memory of how you were at the time, I think you were like, that same streak of mischievousness and risk was like, you know what, this is kind of daring, but and let's see how it goes. But I don't remember you being like, this is gonna, because who, like, in the nice possible way, who would, like, that's such a crazy thing on paper. But I think because of your friendship, I remember that friendship you guys had and have was like the drive in order for you to be like, no, I know this will work because we're gonna love doing this together. And I think that was probably it. I look back at that time as nostalgic because we knew we had 5 months worth of savings, we had a 6-month tenancy, and it was gonna work at the end or it wasn't. And like, we didn't really ever think about a plan B. I remember we were 3 months in, and a month 3 to 4, we had consistent growth up to about 50K. And then we just got stuck on 50K and it wasn't moving forward. And Jay was doing a load of outreach to brands, like trying to just get some money in and it wasn't working. And we were like, we just need to grow. Like if we hit 100K, we will be monetizable based off of what I did with my own channel. And then, it was like month 4 and we had a month worth of savings left. And then the Maximus Bucharest Fashion Week video like took off. And that was what sort of blessing timing wise? Like, for that to come and just obviously do what it did. We could talk about that in a second. At that time when you actually needed it the most, right? Because if that didn't happen, what would you have done?
Well, because here's what I was going to say. It was like we had a friend and a mentor who ran like a startup in London, and he was involved in the conversation of like, what should we call the channel? And he was like, we came to him with the Zac and Jay Show and thought it was a little bit cheesy, but like quite funny. And he was like, do it. You're overthinking it. Just do it. Call it that. Set up the channel. Just get moving. Like get shit popping. And then month 4, going into like month 5 of the final month money, he sat us down in his office and he was like, you lot really need to think about what your plan B is, like, because it's not like, you're not growing fast enough. He's like, you've got something, but like, you need to find a way to stay in London longer. We had even just put the Fashion Week video out and it was doing all right, but that took a week to take off. Did it?
For those who don't know, sorry, tell us about that video.
Yeah, so we just, we met Max Fosh. He lived in a building near the gym I went to, and I was coming out of the gym and he didn't say hello, but he messaged me on DMs on Instagram saying, if you ever need any help filming, I'm trying to be a YouTuber. I've got, I think, like 10K followers on Facebook and millions of views on Facebook. And I was like, cool. And we actually needed a filmer the next morning for like 9 a.m. because we were doing some like press thing at the O2 Arena. And I was going to film it myself, but I was like, oh, if he wants to help, he can help. So then, we met Max that way. He came and filmed for us that day. I don't think he was an actual, like, he had no experience being a cameraman, but he had a camera. And then he was just, we just got on really well, and he was confident and just like had that weird charm and charisma. So then Jay came up with Jay saw that Fashion Week was like in the next few days, and we were just like, we need to do something. Like this is an opportunity here, and it's only on for like a few more days. So we dressed Max, who's won't mind me saying this, not the most fashionable chap. We took him to Primark, hardware stores, just the places you wouldn't think high-end fashion, and we dressed him in the worst outfit we could pick, and we took him to Fashion Week, knowing that if you sort of create enough hype or like a bit of a storm around a person, then the press and the sort of
great you knew that though, because even though you say like, as you know, like that's still,
well, we didn't, I'm saying that now, but we were going into it like
it worked a treat, right?
We didn't know it was going to work. And to be honest, when we filmed that video, we went back for day 2 because we thought day 1 had flopped. And we were at the end of day 2 just like, I don't know whether this is even good enough for a video. And then we put it out. And so I think the difference, what happened with that video is the thumbnail. It feels a little bit controversial, but Max met Jessica Woodley, who's like a model, and I think she was on Made in Chelsea.
Yeah.
He met her in the show and he told her what he was doing, and she loved it. She was really like open to the idea. She was getting him on his on her Instagram story to like 1 million followers and stuff, and it like added to the narrative really well. Yeah. And then we came out of the show and was like, can we get some photos of you guys? Like, this would be great. And because I never used to plan a thumbnail, these were the only photos we had of Max and like a model. So we used a photo of her, Max, and her stylist. That was really an accident. Like I said, we didn't plan to get that photo, and we didn't plan to have it framed how we do, or like it, but it just happened. And then I was like, oh, we're gonna have to use that. So we put it out, didn't do crazy well, but was getting more traction than a normal video would. And then Jess Woodley reached out to us through her stylist saying, this is absolutely not on, you're using my face to like do X, Y, and Z. And I think she was just feeling a bit protective over her brand and stuff, which is fair enough. Like it was an anti-fashion video, and she was seen playing along with like this, and she was
almost
involved
like
in
as if
fashion.
she was a part of it properly rather than being
sure. So we were just like, fuck, what do? We don't have any other options for a thumbnail. So I just opened up Photoshop and took a stylist who we actually know really well now, Phoebe, and copied her over, literally flipped her to one side and just covered Jess. And then we had like twins. It was just the stylist.
Brilliant.
With Max in the middle. And
did you even change the outfit or anything?
No,
you just
literally the same outfit, twins, and like it just flew. It was like a.
But there might be something in that as well, right? As in, like, it kind of adds to the like, what are these twins doing? What's Max doing? What is he wearing? Like, it's just the intrigue, because I think thumbnails are all about intrigue, right?
Yeah.
And like that is so intriguing. Partly because it's actually, and maybe not, most people probably don't know that actually that's photoshopped.
Yeah. No, definitely not. And I look at it now and I'm like, that was such a happy accident.
How many views is that on now? And what was it on like after, when it kind of blew to the point where you were like, okay, this is huge? I
think it did 10 million in the first month. Wow. And that took the channel from 50k subs to about 300,000. So it was like 250k subs.
What I love about that is you saying 100k is our mark where we need to basically monetize this and create a living off this.
Yeah.
You're about to shut it all down. Yeah. You had no money. And then literally overnight, you go from 100 to 300. Or no, from 50 to 300k. That's just
bizarre.
Yeah. And I guess I want to dig into thumbnails now a bit more, right?
Yeah.
Because I think it's just fascinating. And it's one of those things where if you're a creator on YouTube, you know how important thumbnails are, probably more than ever, really. Thumbnails and titles and packaging.
Yeah.
More like in terms of grabbing and driving views, it's so key. And you've come with a couple of examples, right?
Yeah.
Of like a good and a bad, one from an older thumbnail, one from a newer one. Can you sort of talk us through both?
It's honestly taken till now to where I think that I know how to make a good thumbnail, but I'm still spending too much time on it.
Yeah.
So the example I wanted to show you was Strange Traditions series.
Yeah.
I want to show it to you and see if you can work out what's going on in the video off of that. It looks like me and Jay are taking two very drunk old men home. Like, come on, Grandpa, you need to get home. Like, you're too drunk.
Yeah.
So,
and what was the text again? Sorry.
Strange Tradition.
So even that I've forgotten because it hasn't.
Yeah, like what does it mean?
Hasn't
it holds no weight. So like. That's a terrible thumbnail because it tells no story.
Yeah.
It adds more confusion.
Yeah.
And like if a viewer is scrolling and they are confused, then they're not going to click on it. It's only if you pique their curiosity or like something is so audacious in the title that like it's got to grab the viewer is going to want to have to click on it to answer the question the video poses.
Yeah.
And this begs more questions than it answers. So like, again, that was made through lack of planning. We didn't think about a thumbnail before we went and shot that video. We took some photos for Instagram and we remodeled it to be a thumbnail. Yeah. And as a result, it's trash and the video did pretty bad. So,
but actually, the substance of the video was good.
I think so, yeah.
And it's the kind of thing where actually, if it'd be interesting, right? If you were to upload that today, and package it differently, how would that do?
I'd be very intrigued because with
what you know now.
Yeah, I mean. You see a lot of creators doing it now, like they're going through old videos and having them done. And like there's so many examples of view graphs where a dead video just picks back up and just like has a second wind. So that's the example of the terrible one.
Okay. And then the good one.
The recent one, and this has to be regarded as my best thumbnail to date.
Yeah, your magnum opus of the
because of we put a video out after not uploading for 2 months, and this was like after the rebrand. The channel would like gone from a known brand to like just Zac Alsop, and I don't think half the people in the audience knew my second name.
Probably more than you thought, maybe from as in like some from before, right? And
all the ingredients of like this video needs to bang. Like it's on effectively a new channel, and like people need to know what's going on and what's up for it to. So the video was I tested pet friendly Ubers with dangerous animals, and that was a play on an old video where we took alpacas to pet friendly restaurants, and it was the original concept was like a snake around my neck in an Uber, and a driver like reacting like, holy shit, what's going on? And we put it out, and it did terribly.
Really?
Like it was on like 90k views for about a week, which even like for the channel like 6 months before that was like low. So I was like panicking and thinking, how can we fix this? So we had to book the animal trainer guy, pay for a snake to come down to London again.
A different snake, right?
A different snake. And then we basically hired an Uber driver. So the new one, it was the difference between that was in the car. The question was answered for the audience. The title posed the question, will this man get into an Uber with dangerous animals? And the audience would want to click on the video to answer that question. Whereas if I was inside the car with a snake, the question's already answered. They know that I've got in with a snake. So it gives less of a reason to click.
So just to get, because that's really interesting, that formula, right? So the title is like not the answer, but it is what's going to happen. Yeah. It's like testing this.
Yeah.
Then, or as you say, it's the question, but it's not the question in like a question way. It's not. It's almost posing and sort of describing.
Yeah.
Then the thumbnail almost asks the question, like, "Oh, what's going to happen?"
Yeah.
And then you watch to get the answer, but it has to be that threefold, almost that triangle, if you will, of those three elements.
And I feel like if you can nail that, that is like the trifecta of like a perfect thumbnail. What we ended up going for was, well, I'll show you.
Yeah, please do.
You know, it's it's that. So the guy in that thumbnail, the guy in that thumbnail is an Uber driver.
Really?
He's an Uber driver because we didn't.
Not your friend.
No, because I was like, I can't spend more money on an actor. I've already spent 400 quid to get the snake here. So we just called Ubers until.
Sorry, a bit of a weird request. Can you just like hold your hands up?
Yeah,
is that actually what
he was the first driver that came, and we were like, we're gonna have to ask so many. So like, he came, and I was like,
what a good sport, fair play. Did you tip him?
Yeah. That's what I was like, I don't want the journey, because it was like a 5-minute journey. I was gonna like make him like 8 quid or whatever. I was like, I'll pay you 40 quid to if you can just pose in a photo with me. And I started by saying, I was like, right, so imagine I've got a snake in my hand, like it's a 10-foot python, it's huge. And so I was posing. So we got so many photos of like me pretending I've got a snake in. And then he was nailing it. He was like really getting into the role, going, oh, and we were like directing him, saying like less expressive but more concerned. And like he was nailing it.
I bet he was not expecting that when he woke up and
no, exactly. But then I was like, so, you know, I mentioned like I was posing with a snake. I was like, we've actually got a snake. I was like, are you okay with doing it with the real snake? And he was like, yeah, of course. Like he was taking photos himself, getting selfies. And yeah, so we pulled the snake out of the back of a van, and then we did it. I mean, it took about 10 minutes. Like my shoulders were killing after this massive snake on my shoulder. But what we had in the end was a naturalistic thumbnail, which looked like it was not the YouTube meta of posing, open mouths, like shock. It was like, it looked like it could have been a screenshot from the video. Yeah. And that was the aim. It was like, how can we make it look like it's taken directly from the video?
Even things like colours.
Yeah.
And like, you know, if you're trying to appeal to a bigger, younger base.
Yeah.
Big, poppy, vibrant colours. Quite simple emotional framing, so things are very clear, and I think a lot of people kind of follow that model. But in reality, obviously, for you, it's just
thumbnail designers are on an absolute mission. And I love the fact that this is like a career now, like a thumbnail designer for YouTube. It shows how far it's come. But the amount of designers I've worked with and had to say, to get rid of this Mr. Beast idea in your head, like this is what everyone else wants.
Works
I
for
don't
him,
want
but
it.
you have to find, and that's also a really good. I think, a really great piece of insight for people as well. It's like you have to find what works for your channel, your audience, your vibe. Don't just copy. It's deeper than maybe one thing. So you might think, okay, well, actually, everyone's doing this face or this thing, when in reality, it's about like targeting your emotions, finding what do you want to elicit. We actually use this, I remember at Lad all the time, where it's like with every video, what emotion are you trying to elicit in the user, and how does that come through in the packaging in terms of where things are framed, what that hook moment is. Everything has to drive to that emotion, and the same kind of comes through with this as well, right? You can't, there's no template for these things.
No, exactly. And the realization for me was that it's packaging ultimately. Like the product is the video, the packaging is, and this is why I did care about it, and this is why for the longest time I was at war with like thumbnails, because I hated the fact I had to spend loads of time on it, but that was because I was too busy on other stuff. But now I'm like excited by the challenge of like, and we spend like days on thumbnails sometimes, which is it's everything Mr. Beast says he does. And like, you're like, yeah, but I don't have the time and resources for it. But now I've started allocating resources towards it. And it's work. It is working.
It's worth every investment, because actually the reason why he or, you know, the Sidemen do the same thing, it's like, you know, all people who are killing it, like thumbnails, I think they've had to learn just how important these thumbnails are as of you, to the point where they are worth the investment, because even from an AdSense and monetary perspective, like the amount that £1,000 you put into that video, you will have made back and some.
I did let on to a new technique we're trying, which is using AI, which I'm sure loads of people are doing. It feels like an industry secret. It's not. Like, AI is unbelievable. DALL-E 2 is a software, and they've just released it to the public.
See, I didn't know this yet, and then I was shown what you were doing.
Mate, it's
and I was
unbelievable.
Just like, that is absolutely genius. Please take us through a little bit of that process, how you do that, and just like who and how did you come up with the idea? Was it, did someone else tell you? Like, what was the secret to it?
Yeah, so we decided that it's a lot of the difficulty in communicating within the team what we want from a vision is like the designer needs to be on the exact same page as like me and the team from an ideas perspective, but like we've had difficulty sometimes communicating that, and thumbnails are always like it's just, it always feels rushed no matter if you allocate a whole day towards it. So we were like, there's got to be a better way to visualize these things rather than writing a bullet pointed brief. And I can think, if I see bullet points, I can visualize what that looks like, but some people don't think that way. So yeah, we're using DALL-E. They've just like allowed public usage of this thing, but it's essentially a software where you can type in a sentence or anything. Say like,
did you put your title in there?
No, you have to be a little bit more descriptive and play with it. But it's bizarre how well it's worked. So for the past, actually they're not out yet. For the next 2 videos, we've started using it. And
will these be the first 2?
Yeah, okay. And one of the videos, one of the videos is I tested. I love hiring animals. As you can see, it's a common theme. I tested pet friendly hotels with farm animals.
Amazing.
So we were like, what can we do here with the learnings from the Uber pet video? It needs to be in situ, it needs to be with an animal. How can we visualize that without spending hours on Photoshop trying to like create or draw like what this is going to look like? So I typed into this software, and it was the first round that it gave us almost perfect. It was a man checking into 5-star hotel, in brackets, with gold check-in desk with a pig.
You can be that descriptive as well.
Yeah, and what it came up with was this, like the framing was just perfect. It was exactly how I'd want it to be, sort of over the shoulder side profile of me. It wasn't me, it was a man.
Yeah.
And then a pig which looked like the most distorted pig, but it was there on the floor. And then a gold check-in desk with someone behind the counter. And I was like, that's the framing of the shot. That is literally perfect. So I was thinking pig on a leash on the floor, and then I tried the same with a sheep, and the sheep was under the guy's arm, and I was like, that'd be amazing. I was like, that's another avenue, which the smallest of tweaks, as we've seen with the Fashion Week video, can make all the difference. So to visualize and like open new avenues for these things, like,
bro, that's genius, man.
Yeah, we're so trying to get at least 4 solid concepts for each video now.
Yeah, and on to, I guess, you're talking about the future. What I love, right, having sort of been through so much of this journey on the outside, looking in and obviously knowing you now, it's amazing to see how you're so fired up. You've got such a creative spark. You're building the best content I think you've ever made. Like the energy and the art and the science, everything's just there now. You've got Reese. It's so cool to see, man. Like, it's amazing, and I'm so sort of happy for you. But what I want to talk about quickly, of course, is this transition, because it wasn't easy.
No.
And obviously, when the channel changed and when Jay left. Can you talk us through that story? Obviously, like, it's a long story. The divorce, the breakup of parents. Like, it was emotional. Like, I remember feeling like, oh, this is like an end of an era. And then, but I also knew it was obviously so amazing for both of you and it was the right thing to do. Can you tell us a bit about that? And mainly, what is the learnings, or what are the 3 learnings you think, if you took everything's good in 3s, that you can give to other people who are maybe in partnerships, who are creators, who might also need to find their own lane, so to speak?
Yeah, I'd say in terms of like the learnings, we going into the channel knew that the partnership was going to be like a business partnership. Is like, we heard this from mentors, it is like a relationship, like any relationship. It's like a marriage of sorts. Like me and Jay were spending more time together than like me and my girlfriend. And like, so to manage that relationship was like always front and center of like our heads. So it's just, we were even thinking about getting joint therapy. We never did. We were always discussing how to keep things sweet, because if it's not, and there's any sort of resentment or anything like that, the whole thing will crumble. And that's why I admire the Simon, like how they have stayed like as a solid like group is the reason why those guys are like the guys right now. It's like I
always say that their secret is that they've managed to find a process to work as colleagues as well as best friends.
Exactly. I guess to lead on to how it all sort of fizzled out, maybe not fizzled out is the right word, but it was just lockdown, man. Like I'd say that isn't the sole reason, but I think things changed around lockdown, where we had like a crazy year.
It was a momentum shift, wasn't it? Because it's like all the stuff, traveling, events, being out there, right? Yeah,
like everything that the channel was really about was like swept from under our feet. And like, it just sort of zapped like a lot of the creativity and the sort of, I don't know, just the fun that we had like making videos before that. So there was an interesting point sort of where we were doing this Stuck Inside show, which was just like, it was just to keep us sane and busy, but it actually only lasted like a week or two, because we just turned our whole flat into like a TV set. It was like lighting like this in the lounge and stuff. Our vision for the future had like just skewed a little bit, and I think we realized if we were going to go down those paths, we get further and further apart. So we just started chatting. We were just like, why, what needs to happen here? And he just wasn't happy in himself. I think he realized that if he wasn't happy doing YouTube, which was like ultimate freedom, like creatively doing what you want and still making decent money, it's like, what is going to make him happy? So I remember we went out for lunch and he was like, I think I just need a break from YouTube. And I was like, do it. Like, it was never really like a business decision. It was just like mates, like I see you need to take that time, so do it. So he took a step back, went traveling to Mexico, just and he started enjoying himself again. So that was the answer for him. He was like, he needed space from YouTube, needed space from London, and then as soon as he got out, he felt good again. So I was like, it's simple as that. And then the actual process of working out the ins and outs of what that would look like was a bit more complicated. But
without getting into obviously detail, like it, as you say, it's a divorce, isn't it? Really, as in regards, even if actually you both were able to say this is best for both of us, and we're both happy doing it. Like, talk us through a little bit of how the dynamic changes in those times, as it does with divorce, because obviously you cannot not confront those things, right? Or you can't.
Well, I remember we chatted when it was going on, and it was like, I hate to use the word negotiation, but it was negotiations of like, it needed to happen. We needed to agree what we'd both be happy with. But me and Jay agreed early on that we're not going to get lawyers involved, because I knew as soon as we were speaking through lawyers and getting technical jargon involved and stuff, animosity would start to build, because you're like, hang on, he's my mate. Can we not just have a conversation about this? So it was made a bit difficult by the fact, like the time zones and all that stuff. But yeah, it was just having those difficult conversations, and like eventually we reverted to just doing it over email, because whenever we'd chat, we'd have a catch up as mates first, and then we'd try and flip into like the elephant in the room, and it just felt a little bit off. And I was like, I think we need to just like talk about this like explicitly and honestly. And it took a while, but we got there. We got there. I think as soon as it was done, there was a crazy relief off both our shoulders, where like we could actually just chat as mates again. And I'm going to see him next week in Mexico, and like we were just immediately friends again. So yeah, I think we were both quite proud of each other.
That's an art form, that to kind of get that. Yeah, to get through that. And I remember, I'm speaking to you, and it's like, that's a headache.
People are always suspicious online. They always want a bit of dirt, but there really wasn't any. And like, I think I was just keen to just keep going. And that was where my only frustration came from, was the fact that this takes time. This whole process takes time. So yeah, I think it's why I'm feeling so creatively sort of driven now. It's because
and he's also doing his thing now, right? And he's feeling great, and he's positive and happy and loving life, and that's like the main thing, because it was at the time like draining to him and wasn't enjoyable. So it's amazing to see him as well on the other side of that. And looking ahead then, very quickly, I want to talk about two things in the future. One is your channel. Like, what's to come? What's the vision? Do you have one? Are you going week by week? Like, how? Because, you know, we've talked a lot before about the team and resource and structure. Like, what is the future for now the Zac Alsop channel?
I sort of don't know, actually, honestly. Like, I don't know, but I'm just enjoying sort of creating at the minute. It feels like the sort of weight on the shoulders is lifted, and I'm sort of looking back at moments reflectively on what I enjoyed filming, where I think what I'm most conscious of now more than ever is that I used to see YouTube as like quite a I need to enjoy every filming experience as if it was like a life-changing moment. Like, I had that high of a standard for videos where like we'd seek that in every single video. So if a video didn't meet that, I used to feel like it wasn't worth doing. Whereas now I'm like, I'm making videos for myself, but also like with the audience in mind. And I think that's why the audience is more receptive than ever, is because I'm having that level of consciousness about what I create and how it's going to be perceived by the audience.
Yeah. Are there any creators who are standing out for you as people you're like, okay, they're doing amazing stuff?
Yeah. Major fanboy of Ryan Trahan, and how he's sort of I think he's given so many YouTubers permission to like step back from the Mr. Beastification of like YouTube, where it's sort of everything needs to be huge, big all the time, whereas he's just taken he's a beautiful storyteller, like amazing, and that's like, he can make you care about seemingly small things. I love the fact that Ryan's taken a step back. He's got slower paced videos. He's allowing more time for his personality to shine. And like, the results for him have never been better, which like is so counter to the way you're led to believe that everything needs to be about retention. Like, you can't give the audience a second to breathe or think until the video's over. And like, that's so not true. It's like, the reason why movies can have you gripped for 3 hours is because of the beautiful story arc, and then at the end you feel like you've had some value, as opposed to just like, you watch the video and you're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, you just sort of leave a little bit breathless. So I'm hoping, and I'm sort of taking a bet on the fact that there is going to be a step back from like crazy high impact craziness at all points, and yeah, I'm hoping that some more sort of wholesome, not slow pace, but just like, you know, it's not all about spending a shit ton of money and having crazy payoffs.
Zac, thank you so much. That was a world of fun, and with so much insight and brilliance. And yeah, thank you for everything you're doing for the scene, bro, because I just think the way you've now built this new wave, I'm just so excited to see where it goes, because I honestly think the sky's the limit, mate.
Yeah, thank you. So, well, I was going to say back at you. No. You've been a rock since my early YouTube days, and I love any time we get to chat. Man.
And you, bro. And you. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.